The American dream paints a picture of prosperity, but for over 500,000 people living on the streets, that dream has turned into a stark, hidden reality. In states that are often linked with success and wealth, homelessness is becoming a silent yet growing crisis, casting a long shadow over the American dream. So which states are emerging as the unexpected epicenters of this deepening issue? Let's take a closer look at where homelessness is not just rising, but exploding, revealing the cracks in America's image of success. As of 2023, homelessness across the United States has reached a crisis level, with an estimated 653,000 individuals living without permanent shelter. This marks a worrying 12% jump from 2020, according to the annual Homeless Assessment Report from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, compiling data from extensive surveys conducted by volunteers and service providers nationwide. This report paints a troubling picture of America's housing insecurity. Experts point to several factors behind this surge: the lasting economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, skyrocketing housing costs, and the expiration of key social welfare programs have all played a part. While those without homes make up just 0.2% of the US population, the crisis is far more intense in certain states than in others. So, let's dive into the states hit hardest by this escalating homelessness crisis, ranking them from those with concerning rates to those facing the most severe numbers. You might be surprised by which ones make the list. With a population of about 12.95 million in 2024, Pennsylvania's 12,556 homeless individuals may seem moderate compared to some other states. But don't be fooled, this issue is still significant here. The root of Pennsylvania's homelessness problem, a mix of rising income disparity and soaring housing costs. Between 2018 and 2022, around 5 to 7 people per 10,000 residents had to rely on shelters, often due to job loss or financial hardships hitting hard. In the bustling city centers of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, homelessness is particularly visible, especially in downtown areas where social services are more accessible. Philadelphia has a 21.7% poverty rate, one of the highest in the country. And it's this area that faces a steady stream of homelessness cases. Families make up a big portion of the homeless population here, many of whom were in stable housing before an economic crisis turned everything upside down. Pennsylvania's challenge? Tackling high living costs and bridging the urban-rural income gap to keep its people off the streets. Moving on to number 9. Arizona. Arizona's homelessness crisis has reached around 14,237 individuals, and it's a crisis driven by a blend of climate and rapidly rising housing costs. While Arizona's warm weather draws people in, it's a double-edged sword, with extreme summer heat posing serious health risks for the homeless. The epicenters of this issue are Phoenix and Tucson, where high housing costs and a shortage of mental health services make a tough situation even harder. Arizona's fast-growing population has put huge pressure on the housing market, making it even tougher for lower-income residents to find affordable places to live. The state has worked on expanding emergency housing and shelter programs. But with housing costs climbing and mental health services lagging, many people still lack the support they need. As more people move to Arizona, this strain on the system only grows, making it a serious challenge for the state. Next on the list is Colorado at number 8. Colorado is grappling with an ever-growing homeless population, now reaching around 14,439. In cities like Denver and Boulder, the crisis is especially visible, with a combination of soaring housing prices, harsh winters, and limited support services fueling the issue. Over the past decade, housing costs in Colorado have surged, leaving many unable to keep up with rent or mortgage payments. On top of that, high rates of mental health issues and substance abuse are making it even harder for people to find stable housing. With affordable housing in short supply and support services stretched thin, Colorado is struggling to meet the needs of its homeless population. While shelters and emergency resources are expanding, the numbers just keep rising, suggesting that this is a problem far from being solved. Next up, at number 7, we have Massachusetts. Famous for its elite universities like Harvard and MIT and often seen as a symbol of prosperity and innovation, Massachusetts is also facing a homelessness crisis. In 2023, roughly 141 people were without a home, with a significant portion concentrated in Boston. Despite the state's robust social services, a high cost of living and persistent housing shortages have forced many families into homelessness. In fact, some families are even living in hotels due to shelter shortages. A surprising reality for a state associated with wealth and opportunity. Massachusetts is making efforts to expand housing and support services, but the gap between the state's prosperous image and the struggles of its low-income residents is hard to ignore. For now, Massachusetts is up against some serious challenges as it works to close that divide. Moving on to number 6, we head west to Oregon. Known for its breathtaking landscapes and progressive ideals, Oregon is facing a homelessness crisis that's particularly severe. In Portland, in 2023, the state reported around 20,142 homeless individuals, with Portland as a major hotspot. Ironically, the city known for sustainable living and innovation is struggling with an acute housing shortage and skyrocketing property prices, which are driving many into homelessness. Oregon's mild climate also attracts individuals from colder areas, adding to the state's already stretched resources. The government is working to boost affordable housing, but the scale of the crisis is daunting. Thousands are stuck in cycles of poverty. And as Oregon grapples with increasing demand for housing and support services, the solution still feels out of reach. Next up at number 5, we head to Texas. Known for its vast landscapes, booming economy, and everything's bigger attitude, Texas might not be the first place you'd expect to see a homelessness crisis. But here we are. In 2023, Texas recorded a homeless population of 27,377, with the cities of Austin, Houston, and Dallas facing the biggest challenges. Despite Austin's reputation as a vibrant tech and cultural hub, the city's housing prices have skyrocketed, pushing many residents out of their homes. Over in Houston, a thriving global leader in energy, homelessness remains a serious issue. And in Dallas, there's a widening gap between the city's commercial success and the lack of affordable housing for low-income residents. Texas's economic prosperity stands in sharp contrast to its homelessness crisis, showing just how wide the divide has grown between its wealthier residents and those struggling to get by. Now, at number 4, we have Washington. Washington's homeless population reached 28,036 in 2023, an unsettling reality for a state home to tech giants like Amazon and Microsoft. Seattle, often seen as a beacon of economic growth and opportunity, is at the center of this crisis. the city's rapid development has led to soaring living costs, making it nearly impossible for many to afford housing and forcing thousands into homelessness. Washington's homeless population includes many individuals priced out of the housing market, with additional challenges like substance abuse and mental health issues adding layers to the problem. The contrast between Seattle's high-tech image and the struggles of thousands living without shelter paints a stark picture of the region's deepening divide.
I watch out around here, make sure the kids are safe. I speak to everybody. You know, if I could just pop it in here, just...
Known for its sunny beaches, thriving tourism, and glamorous image, Florida may seem like paradise, but it's also grappling with a serious homelessness crisis. In 2023, the state's homeless population hit 30,756, a striking contrast to the luxury and leisure associated with places like Miami and Orlando. These cities, iconic for their vibrant lifestyles and major tourist draws, are at the heart of the problem, with soaring housing costs making stable housing out of reach for many residents. Florida's warm climate may attract people seeking a milder winter, but it also means that homelessness here is visible year-round, as housing shortages in high-demand areas make the problem even harder to tackle. Veterans and seasonal workers make up a significant portion of Florida's homeless population, and while the state enjoys a bustling economy and tourist appeal, the gap between its sunny image and the reality of homelessness continues to widen. Balancing the demands of its growing population with affordable housing for its most vulnerable residents remains a major challenge for the Sunshine State. And here we are at number 2, New York. A state that's practically synonymous with ambition and grandeur, New York is also facing a homelessness crisis of immense proportions. In 2023, the state recorded about 103,200 homeless individuals, with the majority concentrated in New York City. The city that never sleeps, with its iconic skyscrapers, Broadway lights, and bustling Wall Street, also hides a harsher reality where thousands of people sleep in shelters or on the streets. Despite being a global financial powerhouse, New York's ever-widening gap between wealth and poverty has created a homelessness epidemic fueled by sky-high living costs and a limited supply of affordable housing. While New York City is seen as a land of endless opportunities, the skyrocketing rent prices and stagnant wages for many have pushed thousands into housing insecurity, leaving countless residents struggling to find permanent homes. The situation reveals a striking contrast between the city's vibrant cultural scene and the difficult economic realities faced by many of its residents.
There's no way you guys are telling me.
And finally, we've reached number 1, California. California, often portrayed as a land of opportunity, sunshine, and innovation, also bears the title of having the largest homeless population in the United States. In 2023, a staggering 181,399 people were homeless across the state. Major cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego, celebrated for their cultural and economic influence, have now also become the epicenters of California's homelessness crisis. Even with Silicon Valley, Hollywood, and breathtaking natural landscapes, the severe housing crisis here has forced tens of thousands into homelessness. The sky-high cost of living in California's urban centers, paired with a shortage of affordable housing and mental health services, has only worsened the situation. In Los Angeles, sprawling tent encampments stand in the shadows of Hollywood, a stark symbol of the state's struggle. This homelessness crisis in California contrasts painfully with its sparkling image, highlighting one of the most complex and urgent challenges facing the state today.